Hello, Virgo. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann. There's a website in the back of her book here. chris-ann.com. If you want a freeze frame there, if you need to look any of that up, feel free to do so. Chris-ann with an E.com. And the supportive oracle cards, Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. On the back here, there's some websites for Colette that focuses. ColetteBaronReed.com, and there's also a couple more down there if you want to freeze frame and check those out. Feel free to do so. All right, what do we have for Virgo? Oh, your card right off the bat, which is really good. So the Hermit comes out, which the first thing I'm getting is that you're in your element, whatever this is. I'm actually liking this. Bigger picture, seeing the bigger picture. And one card, the Eyes of Beauty. That seems to be the overall thing, like all about perception. Eyes of Beauty. But seeing it for like what's good, like the bigger picture. We're going into this bigger picture. Like I feel like we're not looking at the little minute details, but we're looking at the overall. Like overall, this is going where I need it to. Overall, I have what I need. Overall, I'm getting where I have to get to. It's kind of like, you know, if you're taking your trip cross country and it's taken a week or so, it's kind of like everything might not go off as quite as planned throughout the day. But at the end of the day, we keep hitting our checkpoints. We keep making the goals. We're not spending too much money. So it's not quite on goal throughout the day. But by the time the day's at its end, we do make it where we need to, and we haven't spent too much money. I keep getting that energy. So that's kind of like the overall energy I'm getting. Like throughout the day, it's not that bad, but it's not the best. But again, end of every day, it's not spending too much, and we are still on schedule, so it's good. Which is okay. I can roll with that. There's a lot of like random energy popping in and out, and I feel like using that analogy again, taking the cross-country trips, taking over a week, and it's supposed to, but like every day, like during the day, it's not quite going off as planned, but when you look at the end of the day and you look back, you're like, we did make it to our goal that we wanted to be to today, and we didn't spend too much money, so we spent the amount we thought we would, we didn't go over, so we're happy with that. It's kind of like we keep looking at it, we keep looking back like that, we keep looking back, like it seems a little, like it's a little off focus, out of balance. But then at the end of the day, it's like, no, it's still good. Everything worked out. You know, at the end of the day, we're where we need to be. Random energy just keeps popping in. And it's kind of like the introspection, looking back, kind of like keeping myself centered, kind of like, no, it's not. It's like it's not quite going off like I wanted it to. But at the end of the day, it is actually on point. So I keep having to balance that. It's like, we wanted to go this. I thought we were going to take this road, then that road, and we're going to end up here and have lunch there, and go there, and then go there, and end up here at the end of the day. All those things throughout the day most of those didn't really happen, but at the end of the day, I am happy with how it turned out. Everything is good. I keep getting that, like it keeps repeating, and I feel like this is a pattern that keeps happening. Bigger picture, trying to see it. But I also feel like you're a big piece of why it's working out. Because I feel like it is stressing you. If this is hitting, I think that stresses you. Because you're like, well, yeah, the whole day didn't work out quite as planned. But I did, make an effort to keep it at least we would keep funds under control. At least we would make it to this goal at the end of the day. So it's kind of like you did have to keep on the situation and keep it in focus, so that at the end of the day, it was still on track. What is that one? The Hawk Prince. Paying attention? Paying attention, yeah. You have to, it feels like on your side, it feels like, I do want to say it kind of feels like a burden to make sure that things don't get too far off point. So that way, at the end of the day, we can still catch up and be where we need to be. There is this catch-up energy with it, which I don't think you're the biggest fan I don't think you're the biggest fan of the catch up. Like, can't we just stay on point? Can't we just do it on time? But at least we have the option to catch up. That seems to be very important because, like, sometimes you go through these things and there's not even the option to catch up. There's a little more. I'm just trying to understand. Like, there's a lot of cards that are, like, slowly coming in. You do have to keep point with people. Like, point. Like, you have to keep pushing the point. Like, you know, we can't just, go all over the place. We can't just throw the plan right out the window. We have to try to stay on it to some degree. It may be when the two of these cards come together, the Star and the Emperor, I feel like you're trying to keep control of it, but you're trying to be very creative and kind of like, it's kind of like, listen, if we don't get to this checkpoint by the end of the day, then what we wanted to do tomorrow is out the window, and everybody's excited about what we're supposed to do tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's not going to happen as planned, and we might have to actually start, scaling back on some of the things we wanted to do if we don't stay on schedule. And you might have to get a little creative, kind of like, well, tomorrow we were going to do this and that, but we don't have time for both, so we're going to have to cut this out. And it's like, the way I'm saying it's creative, it's kind of like, people are going to be like, well, we don't want that. We want both. Well, and you'll be like, well, at this point, if we push ahead really quick, if we really put our nose to the grindstone, or however you want to put that, we really put ourselves to it, we can actually catch up and still do it, but it's kind of looking like it's going to slip away if we don't get back on it. That's kind of like the creative way of saying, well, okay, if you don't want to stick to the plan, that's fine, but one of these things has to go. And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. Well, then you're going to have to catch up. You have to catch up quick. Better get back on the ball. And I feel like you're very creative, and you're just kind of saying, all right, well, you still have a chance, but you got to move, got to keep going. People don't want to miss out. They don't want to miss out with this Five of Pentacles. They're in danger of it at this point. It's kind of like they don't want to miss out. That's kind of how you're motivating them. Kind of like, well, if we stay on point, we can do this stuff. If we don't, we can't. And they don't want to miss out, so that's how you're keeping them on point. You seem to be using that to your advantage. I think it sounds really smart to me. It's very honest. Bigger picture. What's this face down card? You got the High Priestess with this face down. You're quietly doing this. You're pointing things out. You're saying, hey, we can't do this if you don't do that. If you don't do that, we can't do this. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, if we don't get to the ski slopes, you can't go skiing down the mountain because we're not going to be there. If you don't bring your skis, how are we going to do it? Like, you're very creatively keeping things in the pattern. But I also feel like these are people that you're more than likely understanding, like, what you need to say to motivate them. It's kind of like you want to get to the ski slope early because maybe you want to maybe there's something else you want to do. You're like, I just want to hang out at the fire for a while and just have a couple hours just to chill and relax and de-stress, and then go out onto the slopes and stuff like that. But if you kind of like keep that quiet to yourself and you're like, well, if we don't get there on time, we're going to have to cut out some of these other activities. They're like, no, well, I want to ski. Well, I don't know if we're going to have time for it if you don't get there. If we don't get there, you can't do it. You're keeping it on point with what you want to do very quietly by highlighting to other people we're going to have to start omitting things if we don't get there on time. But I hope I'm making sense of this, because I feel like I'm walking around like you want to be there at a specific time. And you're just kind of creating that urgency with other people to make sure they stay on point, so you can get there and have your extra 2 hours to relax. And like, you all go out there and do what you got to do. I'm going to sit here and have some cocoa. I'm just going to enjoy my life. But you're very creative. You're quietly making sure it stays on point. You're highlighting and saying, keeping people on point. You want this, got to do that. It seems like it's the same thing keeps coming around in circles and circles and circles. So have you done this with this group before? Some of you, I guess you have. The people here, like, they feel like they're bending over backwards, but they're not. What's up with that? There's the King of Swords here with the Hanged Man. Hanged woman, hanged person. They call it the Hanged Man, but it is a woman. It looks like a woman to me. It's the hanged person. Whoever. The hanged person. they feel like they're bending over backwards and not getting anywhere, but there's a lot of communication. There might be a lot of, like, too much talk. The king usually has better control, but it's the hanged. That's the thing. There's a lot of talk, but there's not a lot of action. That's the problem. The thing is, this is where your creativity comes in. The star card actually matches into this. Because it's kind of like they're talking and talking, kind of like, well, if we get there late, we don't have to do this, or we don't have to do that. But then you kind of have to reform that and go, well, if we get there late, it's not my stuff that gets canceled, it's yours. I feel like it's almost kind of like we might have to get a little creative in that direction too. Kind of like, oh, if we get there late, we just won't spend time at the fire. And I feel like you're saying, well, if we get there late, I'm spending time at the fire, but it's going to be kind of dark on the slopes, so I don't know. I hope they have the lights on, or hope there's enough of this or enough of that. I'm still doing the fire thing. You can do what you want to do, but I'm not going to go on the slopes with you. I'm going to enjoy the fire. It's kind of like, you might have to get creative. I keep getting the creative, standing the ground about what you want. There's this, the energy that they're dealing with is kind of like they have extra time, and you're like, no, we don't. And I feel like if they're going to lose out on stuff, I feel like that's when they're going to take that in a different direction. Like, it's like they think they have extra time, and you're like, not really. But once they, like, if we take out the extra time, they lose something because of that. You're not going to give up your stuff, but they're going to have to give up theirs. If they want to play with that extra time and they want to throw it away, then stuff that they want to do that's extra, that stuff goes too, because they're the ones choosing that, not stuff you want to do. It's like you have to be creative, though. I keep getting this creative energy. There's something about that. Because I'm getting, like, you might have something else coming together with this. It's kind of like, all right, you want to spend time at the fire. They want to go on the slopes. And it's not like you don't want to do both, but it's kind of like, now you have to get more creative. Like, well, when this is going on at the fire, I'm going to have, I'm looking forward to these Danishes that they have and a couple cookies. And I'm going to relax and look at the snow and just relax and enjoy some time in the spa maybe for a little while before I go out and do that. There's a lot of stuff I want to do here. Skiing may be the big draw, but it's not the only thing I want to do there. So you're kind of like, I feel like you're sweetening the pot. I feel like it's almost like you're a very talented writer, because like a really talented writer can like describe a scene, get you into like the smells and the textures and the sounds of what's going on in the scene, and can make a scene that may look very boring and dull to somebody else, but a really creative writer can like bring out those colors and those scents and that image in that moment. And I feel like that's what kind of you're doing to get creative. You're like saying, well, when I go down and I sit near that warm, cozy fire and I'm having that delicious, soft, cocoa with its rich aroma, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the beautiful snow, come down over the hills, and like it's kind of like you're painting the picture. I feel like that's one of the things that you're kind of also tying people in. So it's almost like if that creative energy doesn't make sense quite yet, that might be how you're being creative. You're just really painting the picture. And it's not like you have to really bend over backwards to do that yourself. You're just describing what you're excited to do and what's fun for you. I know a person once, she was a Virgo actually, but when she would talk about having cocoa, even though she wasn't a writer and she wasn't artistic like that, but she would explain how much she loved her favorite mug and the color of it and how good the cocoa tasted, like how this certain type of chocolate was in the cocoa, and how she would love cozying up in her gray soft blanket, and it was just with her little dogs and blah 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 blah. But it would just make you really love it, and you're just like, she was having so much. She would just describe how much she enjoyed it, that it made you want to enjoy it too. That might be how you're exciting people and creatively getting them to move forward. You're just like describing how much you want to do it and what you're looking forward to doing. Especially when you describe about what you're excited about doing, I feel like for the majority of you, this is what's really going to click it in. Because like when you describe how excited you are about the part you're going to do, other people might be triggered to explain what they're excited and what they're excited to do. That might get this situation unstuck from this hanged man and push forward with this Eight of Wands? It is the Eight of Wands. And then that angelic help comes in, the winged ones. So wow, angelic help is below it. That might actually trigger this to move this forward and get this going. Especially, when I'm talking about this creative energy, it literally may be just as simple as you describing the scene about what you're excited about doing. Oh, I can't wait to have that delicious cocoa. I just love that dark chocolate flavor, and sometimes they put marshmallows in it, and there's this, I like to have those brownies with the little pecans on top. Oh, and I'm just sitting in that cozy chair watching the soft snow fall in front of the window. You just got to like describe it as you see it. You don't even have to be that super creative. For some of you, all it's going to take is saying, oh, when I'm sitting in that chair, drinking my cocoa, looking out the window, I'm going to feel so relaxed and so happy. And that will ignite somebody else to talk about the situation too. Before you know it, people are going to be talking about it, and then you'll just reiterate one more time, well, I hope we get there in time. I hope we get there early so we can get all that stuff in, or hope we get there on time so we can get all that stuff in. And they're like, well, we need to, because I'm really excited about it. And that will motivate them forward. People will be invested. They'll be very invested. This is becoming a long one. People will be very invested with this thought once you get them triggered into it. It will trigger them. It will get them invested. They're going to want to make it happen. They're going to move forward to make it happen. It's going to be kind of like you held the line, and you've been holding the line the whole time. All you had to do was trigger them the right way to get them to move, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody's invested. Like, oh, we have to get there on time because I want to do this and I can't wait to do that. Boom, it'll move forward. You'll get what you want. They'll get what they want. I hope the creative part made sense. Anything else with this? I think we're there. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below with the same email. Thanks again, and have a great day.